Hi everyone, welcome back to another Paycheck Budget with Me video, basically our weekly budget. We are going to be budgeting out our last paycheck for January 2022, which happens to be January 28th. I'm filming this on the 27th because I have access to my husband's pay stub, so that way I can get everything organized and ready on our Excel template, and then when everything hits the bank tomorrow, I know exactly where it's going. But if you're interested in seeing how I do a zero-based budget using my Excel template, let's jump on the Excel sheet. Hi everyone, my name is Jackie. Welcome to the channel. We are enjoying life's journey, and like I mentioned, we do a zero-based budget. This is an Excel template that I've created, and if you're interested in picking one up for yourself to get your finances organized, then it is available on Etsy. The link is down below. So for those of you who have already been following along for the month, you kind of have an idea of, some of the things that have been going on. But basically, from last week's budget, we went over budget. We probably went over budget about $75. First thing I like to do on our weekly budget or the paycheck budget is I need to go through and make any changes for the past week based on what we spent, and then make any changes to the current one based on offsetting that, or maybe covering that bill with for the Discover payment, or if my husband's pay was different. Last week I mentioned my husband got a raise, and we were under the impression that he was still due another $1.17 raise. That was not the case. So there was some miscommunication with my husband and his superintendent. He was under the impression that he was getting a $1.30 raise for the company yearly raise, and that they were increasing the med gas raise by $1. That's not the case. He ended up getting $1.13, and that was the company raise. There's no extra med gas raise, so that kind of is a bummer. So I think that's one of the reasons we kind of overspent, because we thought this next paycheck was going to have another $1 per hour on it, and it didn't. So for us not to do that. But we also have some stuff. Once we get down into the budget, I'm going to mention something else. I feel like with our finances, always one step forward and two steps back for sure. But let's take a look at last week real quick, the 21st, and see what we need to change. So right off the bat, I'm going to open up these. So when I went to the grocery store, I basically said I have $100 to spend, but we ended up having to get some personal care and a household item. Now, if I look over on the side here, my card column, this is where I keep track of what we've spent on the credit card, and I line it up with the line item, if you will, for what category it was, and that way I can keep track of what I need to move around. So we actually spent $129.84 at the store, but only $101.84, $26 for personal care and $2 for household. So basically the $2 for household was I bought it was a set of 2 ice trays. Did we necessarily need the ice trays? No, but I got tired of buying bags of ice, so it's kind of, spend a little money here to save money later kind of thing. And then the personal care, we were not planning on buying anything. We don't need shampoo and all that, but my daughter's school had another lice outbreak, so I basically bought them the preventative shampoo and conditioner, which they're not very cheap. It's like 12 or 13 bucks a bottle, so that's what that is. So I finally decided, I'm tired of those outbreaks. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and plug in what we actually spent on that side, and we'll see what we ended up being off of. Okay, so we spent $101.84 on groceries, $26 on personal care, and $2 for household. So I'm gonna make these orange. So what we're gonna end up doing is that money's gonna come out of what would have been in savings for the mortgage, and then we'll get things situated on the next paycheck. So then we're gonna come down to the gas, and we're gonna figure out if we have anything left for gas. So here's the deal. I mentioned last week and the week before that Ricky was gonna be their project, because he's in construction, the project they're currently working on in Tempe. We're in Arizona. So we live in El Mirage, Arizona, and he's been working in Tempe, which is a 36-mile drive one way. Takes him about 45 minutes to an hour to get to and each way. So he's traveling almost 2 hours already. So they told him, and a few weeks ago that he was going to be moved, when this was over, that he was going to be moved back to one of the other job sites that's actually closer to our house, that was only 18 miles away. So we're like, oh great, he's gonna cut his commute in half, less wear and tear on the truck, and it will lower our gas bill. Well, the same week that he got notified, oh, your raise we're not giving you another $1, it is what it is, and that's that, he was told, oh wait, you're not going back to the old job site because you're MedGas certified, we really need more people at the hospital, which wouldn't be a big deal, but they chose a hospital for him to go to that's 50 miles away. So he went from the understanding and the excitement of going back to the other job site that's closer, working with a superintendent that he's really close with, to then now being pushed out to a hospital working with people he hasn't worked with, but that's also twice as far away. You know what I mean? So he was telling his superintendent, he's like, I'm going to need more money to cover the gas. And he's like, well, you already got that raise. You just got a raise. And he's like, it's gone. Like he's like, I'm just paying myself to go to work at this point. So the raise has now literally turned into the extra gas payment. So that's where we're at right now. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. You get a raise, but then your expenses increase. We are hoping to increase our investing by 1% for February. That's not going to happen because we need to see, he starts at the hospital on Monday. So we need to kind of feel it out and see what's even going to happen. So that's a little frustrating. So we're going to have to change next week's gas budget. We're going to have to add probably another fill up for Ricky's truck. And then hopefully that was enough. Ugh, so annoying. So here's the deal. We currently owe $88 on the credit card for the gas this week. There's 1 fill up pending. Ricky did not ride the motorcycle. So as you can tell, last week, if you see over here, the last 2 weeks we didn't even use the $90 because Ricky was riding his motorcycle, and last week I didn't have to do a fill up on my car. So that helps out. Well, Ricky's not riding the motorcycle, he didn't ride the motorcycle this week. So this $88 is actually, I need to add $35 for that pending, I'm going to say actually $34 for that pending payment that's probably going to go through. So he actually spent about $122 worth of gas, and we still have in the bank $130. So we technically have like $8.09 left. So normally what I do is that would be like, oh, that's going to help us get ahead. Basically that $8 is going to go kind of towards what was spent for personal care, part of it. So I'm going to take that $8.09 minus the $90 we budgeted and change this. It was $81.91. So still a little bit lower than we planned on, but again, we spent more in the other areas. And we're going to change next week. We're going to budget more for the following week, because plus I need to fill up my car. So my car is every like 3 weeks I fill up my car. And then we come down here. So this is where we got to change some stuff going on. So Ricky basically was like, okay, I don't want to use the money for me, so we used it for eating out. So I'm going to go ahead and just move it right there. We spent eating out, we spent $22.51. So I'm going to change that and say $22.51. The event stuff we spent more on. So we actually ended up spending $60.86. Ricky spent $2.07. We ordered pizza and stuff. I picked it up. I didn't have it delivered, but I still tipped. I tipped like 15%, so it was like $6.88. So it was actually, we went over budget by $54.70. So obviously, we're gonna have to make some changes to that. So what we're gonna do is that would have come out of this $600. So we're gonna add that to the next. So out of this paycheck. So this paycheck, we actually need $97.21, and I'm going to delete that out to see $608.43. All right, so that's kind of what changed. So within the bank account, I have a lot of moving stuff around tomorrow because it's going to be the 28th, and we have the mortgage coming out on the 1st. We have the teardrop payment coming out on the 1st, the truck payment coming out on the 1st, and I purposely did this I basically purposely try to call these companies and have the due dates like that. So we have the month to get the money, and then everything comes out right away. So that way we're not accidentally spending it on something else. But anyway, so we have the mortgage, we have electric, we have the truck payment, the teardrop payment, the insurance payment. Pretty much all of these come out like on the 1st. So I have to then, the money we had earlier in the month, these blue ones, that means that's in savings waiting. I need to pull all of this out of savings and have it in the checking account that I named necessities. And what will happen is then those automatic payments will come out of that account. Okay, so I have some money to transfer around. So I'm not worried about transferring this, that $50. I'm not going to worry about transferring that around right now. I will get everything situated tomorrow with what needs to be where. But what I am going to do is mark on here what should be what. So we have the 101.84. This should be 22 and 2, 26 and 2. So we're going to change that. We're going to come down here. So this should be 122. This is just, I'm balancing my accounts or my checkbooks, right? Okay, and then that should have been that. So this is going to come out of there because it's going to be 6. Okay, so that's how much. So when I scroll down, we should have $344.87 in this account. I have $341.42. So I just know tomorrow I need to make sure that money is in there correctly. So I'm going to leave those numbers as is for my balancing tomorrow. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to work on this paycheck. So last week, like I mentioned, Ricky got that raise. So his new pay every week for the 40 hours is $1,089.20 versus the $1,044. So I'm going to make this black because that's how much it actually was on the pay stub. And now we're finishing out January. So I'm going to make the actual number black because he's not going to get any more income there. He did have 2 hours of overtime. So I'm going to take a look at the pay stub and we're going to put that in. So this was $81.70 worth of overtime. So right there, we've pretty much covered what we went over. We're going to black that out. So for the month, we originally were anticipating about $1,174 of overtime, and we only got $245 of overtime. However, his raise did give him like an extra, 300 and so roughly. So, 500 extra, I guess. The other thing I went and changed already was our interest on the bank account. It's only 1.78. We've been taking a lot of money out. We went on our vacation, so that money came out of savings, and then our project money has been coming out of savings. So one, we just don't have as much money in the savings account that we did previously, and two, the banks have been lowering their interest rates, which was kind of, which is unfortunate. But anyways, I was estimating at $4. It was only $1.78. So I already changed that for, I think, the yearly budget. Let me see. Yeah, I put $2. I changed $2 for the yearly budget. I fixed that just because I'm like, all right, we'll see what happens. And then we had our health bonus earlier for the $350. So income for the month is done. Next thing to come down is paying ourselves first. So 8% of my husband's income before taxes goes into his 401k. 2% before taxes goes into his company. It's a company ownership stock because they are an employee-owned company. So I had another viewer mention she thought it was like an options type stock and that I would have to be paying taxes on it. I still need to look into see if the tax situation is going to be if I have to pay taxes on it now. But my understanding is part of the 401k and that those are we pay taxes on it later once we take the money out. So still need to look into it though. But yeah, this is a part of their employee stock because they are an employee-owned company. So I don't know if that makes any difference or not. So for the 401k, it was the 93.67. So I don't need to change it. I'm just going to make it blue because now I know that money was invested. And for the month, I can make the whole month blue, saying that $406 was put into the 401k. And then the ESOP was what I'm calling it, $23.42, and that's what it was. So I had put in my own formulas to calculate that percent. So if you ever wanted help with setting up my template, I do offer a template. You can purchase the template on Etsy along with a meeting with me if you wanted me to help you set up things specifically for you. We're not going to put anything into the savings. We didn't have all the overtime, so we don't get to repay back any savings. The giving we don't need to worry about because we're kind of covering that out of the last paycheck. Now we're going into the taxes. So there was no federal taxes withheld again. So I had mentioned we're not tax exempt. However, we do have 2 children and we get the child tax credit. So as of right now, they're kind of not really holding too much federal. They're kind of like taking out of that credit, I think is what's happening. Arizona was $12.56. Medicare was $15.70. $67.15 for Social Security. So these are smaller than anticipated because I had these calculating before the deductions, and really it's we get taxed after deductions, so it's lower than anticipated. But these are black now because that was the end of the month numbers. And I'm just going to make sure that these other numbers match the pay stub. This was actually just an even $4. All right, so these are our extra insurance. So my husband's company gives him. They do get long-term disability or short-term disability insurance, and they get life insurance, but this is additional insurance, as well as having life insurance for myself and the children, and then our health insurance. So we do not have vision or dental right now. This is just our basic health insurance, $87.80 a paycheck. All right, so there's that. So this right here, the maintenance, we decided we were going to start working on the garden enclosure for the backyard. So I'm just going to delete this out for now, because obviously we had that $54, $55 over budget. So we're gonna have to change how much actually goes into there. As well, we have to add more to the gas. So we are gonna put this orange, because this will be in the bank account tomorrow. And I'm actually gonna go ahead and type it here under my income checking account. So these numbers you see up here, this 5 cents, this 8 cents, that's the interest we earned in those bank accounts. So I just need to, combine those all together and bring them down. But basically, I'm going to put the $97.21 saying that will be in that account tomorrow. The direct deposit goes into that account. Now, I do not anticipate having to put anything else for personal care and household because hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't think of anything, but we're going to leave that as is for now. So the cell phones that are due, they're due on the 17th of February. So we're going to have that money in the bank ready to go. So that's going to be $60. Our bill is $90. We have 3 plans, it's a family plan, but $30 of that is covered out of my YouTube income. So that's a whole separate budget because I treat that as a business and it's all business write-offs and things like that. Our solar is due on the 7th of February, so we're cutting it. We're only a couple weeks ahead of time instead of a month ahead of time, but still ahead, which is good. Now this water, sewer, trash, I got the bill and it's actually, I put a note on here for myself in red, $75.12. So this is starting to go up. So I already made that change on my yearly budget for right here. I went ahead and put $75.12 for the rest of the year because it was a pretty big jump. If it was only off by like $1 or something, I probably wouldn't have changed the whole year. But I have a feeling the whole year is changing, so that's kind of what I did. Also, when you're editing this yearly, this is what's going to populate onto your monthly numbers. Now here I made a note for the gas. So I'm going to budget $125. That gives Ricky roughly 3 fill-ups on the truck. He said his truck fill-ups have been around, $35. And then that gives me $20 for my car. That's not going to fill up my car all the way, but I don't need a full tank because I just take the kids to school and go to the grocery store once a week, and that's pretty much it. And if I really had to, I could walk the kids to school and not even I'd only use it to go to the store once. So I should be okay with that. We're just going to have to see how it ends up being with him driving 50 miles, 100 miles a day. So I'm going to have my laser hair removal. That comes out on the 5th of the next month. So I'm going to get that money ready. $30 we're going to leave as Ricky's money again for this particular month. And then the $15.29, if you notice, is actually already charged. It was just charged today on the credit card. So some of our bills are charged onto the credit card. So we have our Prime and Netflix go on the credit card. My laser hair goes on the credit card. Our insurance for the car and the truck and the teardrop go on the card. Phone bill and our internet go on the card. And then the other bills go out of the bank account direct deposit. The only bill I do not have set up to come out automatically is the credit card bill, because I pay that off every Friday. Okay, so I log on, whatever we owe, I pay that off. I have $405 still in the checking account. I did not take out the $400 for the project like I was going to. I still need to do that. I have $405 in there. The direct deposit is going to be $861.29. And then the interest that we earned, the $178. So my total should be $1268.87 tomorrow when I log on the bank account. $230.56 we need to tell where to go. That's going to be part of the project. So we're going to come up here. So I'm going to add that right here to that 405, 405.80, 230.56. Now this is not going to come out cash. We're going to leave it to use the credit card to purchase. We're going to start with purchasing like the wood and things that we need for the garden enclosure, and we're going to build a little bit on the weekend and see how far we get with how much money we have. Pretty cool. We're excited about that. Yeah, so like I mentioned, basically tomorrow I'll log on to the bank account and I'll be putting the money for all the bills that are coming out on the 1st. All that money is going to go into the necessities checking account. And then anything that I need to have in that account to pay off the Discover card will be in there. And then I log on my Discover credit card and I make a payment for whatever the balance is. So we finished out the month pretty good because we got the raise and stuff like that. So we started the month, we were going to be negative $194. We weren't going to have enough income coming in without the overtime. So basically Ricky getting, he got 6 hours of overtime this month, so that really helped us, so we weren't negative. And then that raise did help us to have a little bit of money for the project. Join me next week and we're going to be planning out February, so we'll see what's going to happen. We originally thought we were going to have a tax refund, but it looks like we might not. So you have to join me for February's budget. Join me every Friday for the weekly budgets or the paycheck budgets. I hope these videos help you in some way. You can pick up my template on Etsy. The link is down below. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.